As the #1 selling community in Texas and one of the top 10 nationally, there has to be some things that are not so great about this community, right? That's what we're talking about today, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome. If you are new here, I release videos weekly about the new home neighborhoods and home buying process in and around the Houston suburbs. And today we're talking about the pros and cons of living in Bridgeland. For those of you not from Houston, Bridgeland is a master plan community in Cypress, Texas, about 35 miles northwest of downtown Houston. Bridgeland has plenty of resale options as well as new construction options to choose from. In fact, some of Bridgeland's home builders have just started pre-sales for the third phase out of 4 phases for Bridgeland. The homes in Bridgeland start at about the mid-350s and go up to the millions from there. And today I'm going to start with the cons, since that is what most everybody wants to hear. Con number 1, the amenities. One of the reasons Bridgeland is so fantastic is because of all the amenities it has to offer. Bridgeland has multiple pools, gyms, and rental areas for resident use. Bridgeland also has 300 acres of lakes and what feels like an endless amount of walking trails within the community. In fact, in Bridgeland's initial plans of development, there is not a single house in Bridgeland that is not within a quarter mile of a park. The con, at least for some residents, is that a majority of the parks and green spaces are open to the general public. Most of the time this isn't a problem, and people who use these facilities generally take care of them and pick up after themselves. However, occasionally there have been times where residents have tried to use these facilities and they have either been too crowded, there's too much trash, or it has been vandalized. This can sometimes be frustrating to a Bridgeland homeowner who pays very higher than average HOA fees to maintain and have use of these facilities. Con number 2 is the new construction. It is great to live in a community that has an abundance of new and updated modern homes. However, you are looking at another 10 plus years of new home construction happening within the master plan community. Not only are you dealing with the noise and the dust and dirt that comes with new home construction, but you also, to some extent, will always be competing against a new builder and their homes when you go to resell your home. The good news is that it currently still is a seller's market and lumber prices are pretty high right now. So sellers in Bridgeland selling their home have not had a problem competing against new home construction right now. And speaking of construction, this brings me to my third con, which is commercial amenities. Bridgeland intends to have something called Bridgeland Central. This is going to be a large shopping mall similar to the Woodlands, but in the center of Bridgeland. So far, there have been no immediate plans, despite some residents being told upon building their house that Bridgeland Central would be coming in the near future. However, 5 to 10 years later, these residents still have not seen any sign of Bridgeland Central to come. Most are anticipating and speculating that Bridgeland Central will come in another 5 to 10 years. Also, each village within Bridgeland is supposed to have its own community commercial area. The only one that's been completed so far is Lakeland. Parkland is almost completed with its new home construction, so hopefully the village for Parkland commercial will be opening very soon, but I haven't heard any official plans of that yet. I do know that Bridgeland does intend to build all of these commercial aspects. However, it has been speculated that they are waiting for more residents to move in to support all these commercial amenities. Con number 4, HOA restrictions. This one to me is a double-edged sword. I feel the HOA restrictions are a big reason why Bridgeland is holding its resale value, as well as the neighborhood as a whole looking very well manicured and maintained. However, the HOA is very strict, not only what you can do in your front yard, but also in your backyard or anything to the exterior of your house. In order to make any changes to your backyard or front yard or the exterior, you have to submit a request and get written approval from the HOA in order to make changes. Another con about this is that the approval process can sometimes take a long time to get. It really just depends on how many approvals they're trying to process at the time. Some Bridgeland homeowners find this frustrating, especially when you're trying to make changes to your own backyard or the areas of land that you own as a homeowner. But for the most part, they're pretty fair on what they approve and what they don't approve. It's just important that you get writing on whatever you are going to do. Con number 5 is the location. Most people love the location of Bridgeland. It sits just off of Grand Parkway 99 and also 290, which makes it have easy access to wherever you need to go in the city. In the last several years, Cypress has experienced a large growth, especially in this area, which is great because there's a lot of new things in the area, but at the same time, it is making the traffic to get in and out of this area a bit congested at times. It is also pretty far from downtown Houston. If you love to go out or you work downtown, the drive is doable, but there are probably other locations within Houston that would be an easier and faster commute. All right, now that I told you about the not so great things about Bridgeland, I'm just going to remind you why Bridgeland is such a great place to live and why so many people love calling Bridgeland home despite the negatives. Pro number one is the schools. The schools in Bridgeland are part of the highly rated Cy-Fair ISD, and the schools themselves within Bridgeland are all rated a 9 or 10 from elementary school all the way through high school. Also, the sports, particularly the Bridgeland High School, is one of the top rated within Houston. Also, if your kids are not even in school yet, there are 2 to 3 preschools in and around Bridgeland that have been highly rated. Pro number 2, flood resistance. The other plus to all the landscaping and natural vegetation Bridgeland has is that it serves a multitude of reasons, one of the main reasons being for flooding resistance. Bridgeland's flood risk plans have proven themselves through 2 flooding events so far. I'm happy to say that as of 2021, none of the homes in Bridgeland have experienced flooding due to a flooding event. And most of this has to do with the initial plans Howard Hughes had with the lakes in the community. These lakes can hold up to 8 feet of stormwater, and they also help the stormwater flow through Cypress Creeks. I will link a news article below that goes into detail of the different ways Bridgeland has surpassed flooding preparation for the homes and community. Pro number 3, trails and amenities. I know I mentioned earlier this was a con due to the public use, but I guarantee that you will not find another community within the Houston metro area that has as many lakes, trails, parks, and amenities and natural vegetation as you will in Bridgeland. It is very easy to forget that you are in the middle of a city when you walk the trails in Bridgeland, or you kayak on the lakes, or you mountain bike through the forested trails near Cypress Creek. Not to mention all the private pools, gyms, and event areas that are resort style in quality. I do feel the nature and the amenities is a big reason why Bridgeland is such a great place to live. Pro number 4, home values. Despite Bridgeland continuing to grow and some of the homes within Bridgeland now being over 10 years old, homes and neighborhood continue to go up in value. Bridgeland is one of the highest desired areas in the Northwest due to the schools, the amenities, and the builder selections and new homes. So you can be assured when building a home in Bridgeland, you are making a good long-term investment. And pro number 5 is the community. This one is a big one for me personally, and I hear it a lot from my fellow neighbors. Bridgeland is a great place to live if you are looking for a community within your neighbors and a great way to get involved. There are many subdivisions within Bridgeland that have regular block parties and socials. There are also countless private groups and clubs with people of like-minded interests that you can get involved in. Not to mention the Bridgeland HOA does a fabulous job on having regular events and socials throughout the year so that you can get to know your neighbors that might not live as near to you. Most of my closest friends since moving to Houston are right here in Bridgeland. So those are the main pros and cons of living in Bridgeland. If you are interested in buying or selling a home in Bridgeland or around the Houston area, feel free to message me. I'd love to help you out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.